Hey, it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Doc Talk 24/7. Hope you guys are having an awesome Friday. Hey, y'all, so we're going to tap into the Bree Stern versus Andrew Tate lawsuit that the Buzbee law firm is representing Brianna Stern. If you are not aware, the Buzbee law firm announced back on the 28th of March that they are going to represent Miss Brianna, and that they filed a lawsuit against the social media personality Andrew Tate. Now, if y'all did not know, he was a kickboxer, and he was darn good. He was pretty good. Um, the case was filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court, and it brought claims of sexual assault, battery, and she's also seeking a temporary restraining order to prevent him from contacting her. So, well, not public, without further ado, let's tap on into this lawsuit. So, as I stated before, she is not only suing for sexual assault and battery, but also gender violence, negligence, intentional infliction of emotional distress, and application for a temporary restraining order. And it's crazy because I did not even know his first name was Emery, but it's crazy this day and age how my kids know who Andrew Tate is. And I know that he is British, if I'm not mistaken. So he has had his fair share of run ins when it comes to the law. But this particular action was brought about by, like I said, Brianna Stern against Andrew Tate. And the introduction reads as follows: I have not hurt women. No woman, no women are coming forward saying Andrew hit me. If you ever betray me, you will regret it. I will ruin your life, grape you, and unalive you. These are the words from Andrew Tate. Plaintiff was in a 10-month relationship with defendant Andrew Tate. Plaintiff brings this case for, among other things, sexual assault and battery against defendant Tate. She also seeks a restraining order. On multiple occasions, Tate grew violent and abusive towards the plaintiff, causing her injury. Tate's sickening behavior grew more aggressive over time. The last incident occurred in Tate's hotel room at the Beverly Hills Hotel. The last incident was the worst. Tate beat and choked plaintiff, giving her a concussion. When plaintiff was safely away from Tate, she sought medical treatment and reported this conduct to the police. Plaintiff also ceased all contact with Tate, blocked his cell phone numbers, and blocked him on social media. Though this case, plaintiff seeks, oh, through this case, I'm sorry, plaintiff seeks a restraining order against Tate as well as compensatory and punitive damages. Importantly, plaintiff hopes through this action that she is instrumental in stopping Tate from his pattern of using and abusing women. Now, as of to date, he has not been served a copy of this petition, so I'm sure they are pending service to try to get him served so that way they can go ahead and give him time to respond to the lawsuit and then move forward with getting a hearing for this restraining order. Factual summary. Defendant Andrew Tate bills himself as Top G, the self described biggest gangster on the planet. Tate also fancies himself a modern day philosopher, a teacher to weak and or repressed men, and champion to those fighting to escape what he calls the Matrix. But the truth is, Andrew Tate is not saving anyone. He is instead openly exploiting individuals for his own financial gain and reputational goals. Defendant Tate surrounds himself in armed guards, a loyal entourage of men followers, and his brother Tristan. Tate reportedly has at least 5 to 6 men living with him at the time in a compound in Romania. Through mostly social media, Tate broadcasts misogyny and narcissism daily, publicly tweeting to his millions of followers nonsense such as the rape victims must bear responsibility themselves, that women are a man's property. Hmm. and that men should hit women to keep them in line. Defendant Tate has a bevy on online followers who repost his messages and video clips on their own profiles or ghost accounts, which increases Tate's total views. Tate's misogynistic pronouncements are not just offhand comments, they are core to his brand and the messages he weaponizes daily. Defendant Andrew Tate's brief media career is a story of manipulation, submission, and control, methods he has utilized to build his wealth and celebrity. Mm. Defendant Tate brags about perfecting his loverboy method. He describes it as follows: he seduces women, wins their trust, and then coerces them into performing in front of live webcams for his profit and amusement. Romanian prosecutors have confirmed this pattern of manipulation as central to Tate's creation of a business empire based on exploitation. Defendant Andrew Tate hides behind a false image. Tate sells the young men who adore him on escaping the matrix, pretending to be mastermind, offering the keys to personal growth, freedom from poverty, and the traditional methods of earning income. But this is just a facade. Instead, behind the flashy lifestyle of supercars, private jets, luxury watches, and false bravado sits a sad 38-year-old man losing significance and drowning in legal trouble with serious criminal charges and civil suits pending in Romania, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Plaintiff is a young woman actively building an already successful modeling career, a career that unfortunately also made her a target of Tate's. In July 2024, the Tate brothers extended an invitation for plaintiff to travel to Romania to participate in photo shoots and content creation for their cryptocurrency meme coin. Plaintiff initially turned down the invitation, but was later convinced that the brothers themselves would be mentoring her in the cryptocurrency market and helping plaintiff with her coin sister. Defendant's brother Tristan Tate arranged for plaintiff to fly out with a number of other women from Los Angeles, Miami, Europe, and Canada. Presenting the trip as a legitimate professional opportunity, it soon became clear that defendant Tate had ulterior motives. As soon as she landed in Bucharest, Tristan Tate texted plaintiff in the trip's group message containing Andrew Tate, Tristan Tate, and all models participating in the content trip. He informed plaintiffs that she would not be riding in the Sprinter van to the photo shoot with the other women. Instead, she would ride along with defendant Andrew Tate in one of his supercars handpicked by him in advance. As promised, defendant Tate soon picked plaintiff up from her hotel. Tate drove her for nearly 3 hours from a Romanian hotel called the Marmorș to an Airbnb villa in Transylvania, where all modeling and content creation was to occur. During the car ride, defendant Tate deployed his manipulative loverboy routine from the start. Tate shared with plaintiff his life story and did so charmingly. He explained convincingly how most everything about him in the news media was a lie and the criminal charges against were meritless and made up. Tate even claimed to be a supporter of women and to have a provider mindset. He said he believed women should not have to work and that any woman who he dated was 100% financially supported by him, mentioning lavish houses and cars. Oh, I said mentioning lavish houses and cars. Plaintiff thought that he was kind and charming and that the things he spoke of sounded like a dream come true. He immediately showed interest in her, telling her that she no longer had to work or worry about finances or anything at all. She was with him now. Plaintiff was soon to learn most everything Tate told her in that car ride and later were all lies. For the next 10 months, defendant Tate and plaintiff were in a romantic relationship. Sometimes Tate was extremely loving, employing pet names to plaintiff and acting as a loving boyfriend would. Oh man, he's sending poems. Oh gosh. Across the seas, across the skies, two Pookies live with loving ties. One in LA where palm trees sway, the other in Bucharest far away. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I'm not about to read this because it's so cheesy. Like, see, look at me. I wrote you a poem, Pookie Butt, Pookie poem, and Pookie flowers. I miss pumpkin, Pookie pumpkin princess. Oh my gosh, this is so cheesy. At other times, Tate was cold and distant, and at times rude and dismissive. As part of their relationship, Tate engaged in a campaign of calculated manipulation of plaintiff. He disguised his efforts as one born out of love, a tactic for which he is now infamous. Tate maintained daily contact with plaintiff, texting her constantly, but only through encrypted apps and messages designed to be deleted upon receipt. It is now clear that the defendant Tate's every word was part of a larger plan to control her. Wait, let me see. Was this? Yeah, you can't really tell if it's WhatsApp. Defendant Tate frequently told plaintiff that he loved her. Tate repeatedly stated that plaintiff had been chosen to carry his future child. Tate claimed he wanted plaintiff to carry their children to continue the Tate legacy. But things soon became sinister, making the validity of the criminal charges leveled against Tate seem more and more plausible to the plaintiff despite his denials. Plaintiff began to suspect that she was being groomed for what Tate hoped to be a stream of revenue in his attempt to traffic her. Over time, plaintiff saw through his show and act. Plaintiff began to believe that Tate was dishonest, emotionally unstable, and verbally abusive, particularly during X. Despite consistent love bombing, at times he would call her things like whore or bitch and his property. Plaintiff was troubled by these outbursts. She would ask him not to act in this manner. Tate will deflect and ignore. Tate showed enough love and care to keep plaintiff coming back. His true colors were soon plainly revealed. Defendant Tate would typically follow his cruelty with words of love. Like many abusers, Tate would often tell the plaintiff that his outbursts were her own fault. Tate told plaintiff that she was being punished for her actions and she provoked it and deserved it. Tate told her that her behavior forced his hand and that she should be grateful to be in his presence. He would tell her, I'm punishing you for your past behaviors. You have an attitude because you're not hit enough. Or, and, not or, but and, you back talk too much, whore, so I beat you. I'll give y'all a second to read through this. This is, first box says, you back talk too much, whore, so I beat you. I will hit you today, but I love you. She asked why the name calling. He stated, do you understand? And then the second box says, because I want to beat the F out of you. You will give me a child this year, itch. Why do you want to beat me? She asked. It's 12:30 a.m. It's 12:30 a.m. I'm in the room. I'm sleep soon. He said, what's the point in having you if I don't beat you and impregnate you? You should be thankful. What? Defendant Tate is a textbook narcissist, an individual that can only be described as someone with a God complex. Tate is erratic, manipulative, and obsessed with dominance. To Tate, relationships are all about control and ownership, as evidenced by him requiring several past girlfriends to tattoo property of Tate in large font across their bodies, which he also requested of plaintiff. As the relationship between Tate and plaintiff progressed, so did the verbal abuse. Then came the violence, the physical violence. On March 10, 2025, Tate and plaintiff spent the night together in Tate's room at the Beverly Hills Hotel. They began to have intercourse. Initially, the X was consensual, but things soon changed. Tate began verbally degrading plaintiff as he routinely did, but this time it was much worse, more aggressive and more violent. Tate then began to choke plaintiff. Eventually, plaintiff began crying and begging for him to stop. He would not. Tate continued to choke plaintiff harder and harder, making plaintiff nearly lose consciousness. As Tate used one hand to choke her, he used the other to beat her repeatedly on the side of her face and the top of her head. While doing so, Tate told her repeatedly that if she ever crossed him, he was going to unalive her. Plaintiff did the best she could to protect herself as she sobbed and pleaded until Tate, oh my gosh, whatchamacallit, and stopped beating and choking her. I probably need to put the trigger warning on because at this point, that's sad. Defendant Tate derived increased pleasure the more he beat and choked plaintiff. Plaintiff never stopped crying and never stopped begging for him to stop, but this made him hit her harder. Her cries and screams only caused Tate to hurt her more. Plaintiff ultimately survived. She wanted to leave immediately but was too scared to do so. The next morning, plaintiff pretended nothing had happened and was able to leave Tate's hotel room. She immediately sought help from friends. She saw a physician. She was diagnosed with post concussion syndrome. The physician encouraged her to report the choking and beating to the police. Because of Tate's past threats and very evident psychological abuse and manipulation, plaintiff was very hesitant to do so. Hesitant to do so. This is a text message. If you ever betray me, you will regret it. She responds, "Okay, crazy." And he says, "No, I am serious." With urging from friends and family, plaintiff reported the assault and battery to the Beverly Hills Police Department. Because she was extremely fearful of retaliation from defendant Tate, plaintiff waited to do so until Tate had left the country and until her sister could accompany her. Now, here's the thing. This is filed in the Los Angeles Superior Court, which is a state court, and he resides in Romania. This case is going to have to be moved to federal court because the state court doesn't have jurisdiction to hear a case where a defendant is in another state or another country. But I do understand why they, took it. We do that all the time though. We do it all the time. We will file in state court until they be like, we don't have jurisdiction, and then we end up filing it um in federal court. So it's not uncommon to file it. Sometimes I'd be like, why don't we just file it in federal court and just bypass, all of this time wasting? But it is what it is. Attorneys know best. I'm just the paralegal. Okay. Oh, but one reason as to why it was filed in state court is because the actions did take place at the Beverly Hills Hotel. But, the I don't know if she's traveled to Romania. That's neither here nor there. But the actions, the damages, everything took place in California. So that's why it was filed initially in the California court. All right, who is Andrew Tate? So in 2016, Andrew Tate gained public attention in the UK by appearing on the reality TV show Big Brother. However, his participation on the show was short lived. Tate was soon removed due to resurfaced tweets that were described as homophobic and racist, as well as a video that showed him beating a woman with a belt while in the bedroom. The show's producers cited events outside the house as the reason for his removal. The controversy marked the beginning of the public persona Tate began to cultivate online. Shady online enterprises. Following his exit from Big Brother, Tate shifted focus to online business ventures. Around 2017, he and his brother Tristan established a pornographic webcam business, first in the UK and later in Eastern Europe. The brothers recruited women to perform on live cam shows for paying viewers. Media reports, Romanian authorities, and former associates have described the way Tate coerced women into doing pornographic webcam work for him was by implementing the lover boy method, in which Tate would admittedly form romantic relationships with women, gain their trust, and pretended he was in love with them in order to eventually coerce them to do webcam pornography, generating substantial profits which Tate kept primarily for himself. Tate has publicly claimed the venture yielded him millions in profits, with many believing it is largely responsible for a significant portion of any wealth he may have. Tate has suggested this enterprise was employing as many as 75 women at a time, generating as much as $600,000 per month in revenue. By 2017, Tate relocated to Romania. He stated that one significant reason for the move was a belief that Romania authorities were less likely to pursue sexual assault allegations, saying in one interview that I would be less likely to face rape charges in Romania. In 2021, Tate launched Hustlers University, which is a subscription based online platform aimed at young men seeking financial independence. For a monthly fee, subscribers received instructional content on topics like cryptocurrency, e commerce, and freelance copywriting. The content was largely pre recorded and later distributed through a shared server. The platform also included an marketing program wherein members could earn commission by referring others. A key tactic involved members reposting Tate's content on platforms like TikTok to generate signups. This affiliate structure contributed to Tate's social media rise in 2022, with clips of him circulating widely across social media. At its peak before being shut down, Hustlers University claimed more than 100,000 active subscribers. This is interesting. In October of 2022, Tate rebranded Hustlers University as The Real World. This new platform was positioned on as a private, anti-mainstream community for young men with its own communication platform and messaging system. Members received training in similar subjects: cryptocurrency trading, drop shipping, and online business strategies. Some former members described the environment as having a cult-like following. Tate launched the War Room, a high cost invitation only group that required a fee of approximately $8,000 to join. Marketed as an elite network for high achieving men, the group promised mentorship on self discipline, financial success, and independence from societal norms. However, an undercover BBC investigation in 2023 uncovered internal chats suggesting members shared techniques for coercing women into webcam work. These included what was described as a PhD, pimpin' hose degree, which taught his dedicated male followers abusive and manipulative tactics, such as the use of psychological conditioning and physical violence to lure unsuspecting women into forced X work, primarily via webcam, and constitutes human trafficking. Tate has also pursued numerous other online business ventures. In 2023, he created a cryptocurrency meme coin called Daddy, which which is what originally prompted the Tate brothers to reach out to plaintiff via a mutual friend. Tate promoted the coin with rhetoric tied to his online persona, including statements like, "The coin is for the patriarchy." Daddy briefly reached a market cap of over 200 million, driven largely by social media hype. However, the coin also drew criticism and accused of a potential rug pull scheme. When YouTuber CoffeeZilla questioned the coin's legitimacy, Tate responded by posting CoffeeZilla's personal information and encouraging his followers to harass him online, a form of online harassment known as doxing, which Tate is known to utilize. The incident raised additional concerns about Tate's use of his platform to target critics. Coincidentally, many of Tate's alleged victims have reported experiencing similar forms of harassment. Social media presence. Tate's public image is not only prerogative but also highly uh, offensive. He refers to himself as Top G and promotes a brand of hyper masculinity built on dominance, wealth, and control. He has openly embraced the label toxic masculinity, once calling himself the king of toxic masculinity in an interview. His content centers on traditional gender roles, material excess like luxury cars, private jets, cigars, and submissive women, packaged into a distasteful lifestyle that he markets as aspirational for young men. Tate began making headlines for inflammatory social media posts as early as October 2017. He once tweeted statements suggesting that women should take responsibility for being raped, claiming that women belong in the home and are a man's property. He also implied that sexual assault victims who dressed a certain way or go out alone bear partial blame for their assault. Around the same time, he dismissed mental health struggles outright, stating depression isn't real and suggesting that those affected by it are simply weak or lazy. These remarks sparked backlash and led to Twitter banning his account in 2017 for violating hate speech and harassment policies. Tate has reiterated many of the views in interviews, furthering his position as polarizing online figure. He has continued pushing misogynistic and narcissistic narratives on other platforms, even after being banned from Twitter. Among his more widely condemned remarks, he said he prefers 18 to 19-year-old women because they've had fewer sexual partners and he can make an imprint on them. He labeled women who don't stay homes as hoes. And in one video, he instructed men to bang out the machete and boom in her face if a girlfriend accused them of cheating, a clip many cited as promoting violence against women. And they have all the articles right here. Buzbee did his thing on this one. Tate's online presence grew from the pyramid scheme systems he established through his online course. His incentivized users to flood platforms like TikTok with clips of himself, thereby spreading his previously published messages. As his reach expanded, so did the pushback against him. In August of 2022, a wave of bans followed, and his account was officially and permanently removed from Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube for repeated violations, including hate speech, and misinformation. Tate's own public statements have since become part of the evidence against him in criminal proceedings. In a resurfaced podcast clip, he explained his decision to remove to Romania by stating, I like being free. I like living in countries where grape allegations can't ruin your life. He added, I'm not a rapist, but I like the idea of being able to do what I want. Romanian prosecutors and critics have cited quotes like these as indicative of his mindset. After his arrest, Romanian officials noted the irony of Tate complaining about injustice in the same country he previously praised for its leniency on sexual crimes. Hmm, that is ironic. Ongoing legal troubles. From Romania to the United States, well, I'm sorry, from Romania to the United Kingdom to the United States, Tate and his brother Tristan are facing serious accusations, including rape, human trafficking, X crimes involving minors, and money laundering. They deny everything, but The mounting cases, disturbing evidence, and growing list of alleged victims tell a different story. Since 2022, Romanian prosecutors have accused the Tate brothers of forming a criminal group that trafficked women across Romania, the United Kingdom, and the United States. At least 7 women told investigators that they were manipulated into believing they were in relationships with Tate, then confined and forced to produce pornographic content without seeing any of the profits. Later filings allege that 35 victims were affected, including victims as young as 15 years old. In December of 2022, ooh, I gotta switch to trigger warnings. In December of 2022, Romanian authorities raided the brothers' compounds and seized assets, including luxury cars and crypto wallets. Additional searches were conducted in 2023 and again in 2024 as part of an ongoing and expanded investigation into his criminal enterprise. In March of 2024, British authorities issued a European arrest warrant against Tate. The charges: sexual aggression, rape, and human trafficking from 2012 to 2015. 4 British women also filed a civil suit accusing Tate of rape and abuse. He and his brother were temporarily detained in Romania again as the extradition request was reviewed. See, now I'm very interested to hear what people have to say. Now, are these women lying? Because there's a lot of people out here that are rooting for Diddy to be free, or rooting. Yeah, I mean, they haven't caught him because obviously he's in Romania, but yeah. In February 2025, after a nearly 2-year travel ban was lifted, the Tate brothers were granted limited permission to leave Romania. They soon departed for Florida, arriving February 28, 2025. Tate arrived in Fort Lauderdale via private jet and immediately started taunting Florida Governor Ron DeSantis online. "Your wife will never win, Governor, unless you arrest me." Whew! Tate posted, mocking DeSantis and daring him to press charges. Florida quickly took action. The state's attorney general confirmed that an investigation is underway into whether Tate or his brother committed crimes in Florida soil. Additionally, a woman filed claims in February with a Florida court claiming Tate lured her to Romania under false pretenses, then coerced her into a situation that resembles ex trafficking. You know what? So I gotta do some digging. Sorry, writing something down. Tate's relationship with plaintiff. In June of 2024, plaintiff first became aware of defendant Andrew Tate when his brother Tristan contacted a mutual friend of plaintiff's requesting blonde models for a content shoot in Romania. Plaintiff's friend sent multiple Instagram profiles of blonde models, but the plaintiff was selected by the Tate brothers. The friend then reached out to her and asked if she would be interested in participating in the unpaid photo shoot. Unpaid? Plaintiff politely declined, as modeling is her main source of income. However, around this time, plaintiff management team had coincidentally launched a meme coin in her name without her knowledge and facilitated a rug pull. Plaintiff found a crypto mentor and dedicated herself to learning crypto in order to turn her coin around and help any of her fans who have been scammed. Upon speaking with her mentor, the plaintiff was advised that the Tate brothers had one of the biggest coins in existence and had the ability to educate her in the world of cryptocurrency, which would be of far more value in the long run than being paid by the photo shoot. Plaintiff then sent a message to Tristan Tate on Instagram and asked if she could come help him with their coin daddy in exchange for help with her coin and crypto in general, to which he agreed. The conversation moved to WhatsApp. The plaintiff and mutual friend who connected them flew to Romania that same day. Plaintiff arrived in Romania alongside approximately 10 other models from Los Angeles, Miami, Europe, and Canada. A driver picked them up, dropped them off at a luxury hotel. They were scheduled to be transported together the next day in a Sprinter van to the villa in Transylvania for the content shoot. However, Tristan Tate text plaintiff in the events group chat, telling her she wouldn't be joining the other women on the group ride. Instead, the brother Andrew had requested that she ride with him in one of his supercars. As promised, Andrew Tate picked her up and drove nearly 3 hours from a Romanian hotel to the Transylvania Villa, that's the Airbnb, where all the modeling and content creation would take place. During the long car ride, Andrew Tate presented himself as a charismatic, approachable, and charming individual. He claimed that his online persona was entirely fictional and that his misogynistic and violent statements were just for show. Plaintiff believed him, but at this point, she did not know much about his background or of the lover boy technique he would often employ. During the trip, plaintiff had her first actual encounter with Andre Tate. Andrew. I said Andre. Andrew Tate. During during intercourse, Tate was loving, but sporadic times he would refer to her using terms such as whore, bitch, in his property. This language was not consensual, welcomed, or anticipated. Plaintiff did not know how to feel and thought to herself that he must have some sort of strange fetish. The intercourse and interactions were not physically violent, although it was clear that Tate had issues. Once the filming and shooting in Transylvania were over, Tate arranged for plaintiff to stay at the Morosh in Bucharest near his home so he could continue to see her before she returned back home to the States. Tate visited plaintiff at that place where they spent time together and engaged in sexual intercourse before she returned home. Again, Tate became verbally abusive during intercourse. This behavior was confusing for plaintiff as otherwise thus far he had been warm, loving, and charming towards her. Upon returning home to Los Angeles, plaintiff and Tate stayed in constant contact. They would message every day, often video calling and sharing voice memos. Tate was adamant that they were in a committed relationship with monogamy expected from her. But the right to date multiple women offered afforded to him with the understanding that he would financially provide plaintiff with the means to lead a comfortable life. However, defendant Tate was very controlling and persistent on isolating plaintiff. He told her she needed to provide him with the passwords to her social media accounts and required her to download a very thorough location tracking app on her phone, which tracked her every move and generated a daily report outlining each location she had visited, the duration of each stay, the speed at which her vehicle traveled, and even included she had utilized text messaging while driving. Defendants specifically forbade plaintiff from attending social gatherings, events, dinners, interacting with anyone of the opposite sex, and generally discouraged her from leaving her home, thus keeping her well isolated. Accordingly, would send her payments of Solana cryptocurrency, typically in transactions of $10,000 at a time. As the relationships progressed, Tate continued flying plaintiff to Romania to see him. This happened a number of times after their first encounter in June 2024, which their encounter taking place in Beverly Hills, California in March of 2025. Okay, so almost a year. Each time plaintiff traveled to Romania to see Tate, she would stay for roughly a week or two at a time. Tate was not able to see her every day as he often claimed to be busy dealing with criminal matters and charges that had been pressed against him. On August 21st, 2024, Tate was placed back on house arrest. After that, when the two would see each other, it would be at Tate's compound that has become well known through social media and subsequent news stories after it was raided by Romanian authorities. When the two would engage in intercourse, verbal violence would always be involved. So much so that the plaintiff was legitimately concerned for Tate's mental health and thought that he was only able to actually climax when he felt he had verbally degraded her to the point of feeling worthless and crying. Tate would say things such as, "You are my property. You're an idiot. I own you. You haven't been hit hard enough. I ucking hate you. I uck your friends and make you watch. I don't love you anymore. I won't love you unless you uck other girls with me. You're a whore. No one loves you but me. I beat you because I love you. You're just an a-hole with all you're good for. Oh, that's all you're good for. Golly. But Tate would also say things simultaneously assaulting plaintiff that were much more concerning and made her fear for her safety, such as, if you try to leave me, I'll ruin your life. If you uck up again, I will abandon you. And he would repeat that over and over and over. You're lucky I'm even letting you leave. I should keep you here and X traffic you. If you don't start being good, I will keep you here in Romania and grape you. I will ucking grape you because that's what you deserve. If you ever uck with me, I will ucking kill you, unalive you. Ooh, I mean it. I will unalive you. At some point, Tate started to become physically aggressive when the two would have intercourse. Tate soon began to choke plaintiff while they were together. There are many reports of Tate choking women, some even to the point of passing out. At first, not so hard, and then increasingly so, far stronger than anybody could suggest was consensual rough X. Choking then turned to slapping, which at some point escalated to hitting. The pattern became unmistakable. For Tate, X was used as a tool of domination, what he cares about more than anything else. He will talk about the joy that hitting plaintiff would bring him in text messages, to which she would respond and tell him that she didn't like it, that she was scared. Plaintiff often told him no to no avail. She felt more courage to tell him no over text messages because she feared what he might do if she told him in person. Tate had made it clear that he would unalive her if she displeased him. This is crazy. I'll take a minute for y'all to read these text messages. Talk about you need to be hit. You deserve it. All right. On one of the plaintiff's trips to Romania, which required a nearly 20-hour flight upon her arrival and prior to seeing Tate, Tate informed plaintiff that the Romanian organized crime unit would add her to the list of victims in this case, forbidding him to have any further contact with her unless she made a recorded video statement denouncing herself as a victim. Tate further instructed her to make statements indicating that she believed that Tate possessed a loving and kind disposition towards women. Tate provided that plaintiff video statements made by other women to serve as examples of his expectations. Plaintiff complied with Tate's directives despite whew, knowing that what she was saying did not align with her experiences with him. This video was directed by Tate. Tate proudly boasts that seemingly hundreds of women have come to his support during his criminal proceedings. It is now clear that how Tate accomplished what he claims is 100% consensual and loving endorsement from past women in his life. During their relationship, Tate would tell plaintiff that he insisted she carry his child, stating he wanted her to continue the Tate legacy. Tate repeatedly told plaintiff that he loved her, would write her poems, and do many loving things in private that were directly contrary to his public persona, which he claimed to her was all for show. You remember, this is the text message that he was telling her he was going to beat the F out of her. As time went on, Tate shared with plaintiff that he believed he would soon have his travel ban lifted and would be traveling to the U.S. Tate told her that their dream of having a life together in America was coming true and that he would be there soon. However, he also told her that despite a prior agreement with her to keep her apartment in LA, she would need to move to Miami to join him there where he planned to buy a house. Tate instructed her to find an apartment in Miami within a specific price range and claimed they would live together there and it would be their new home. Plaintiff explained multiple times that she loved her life in Los Angeles and that she was open to living with him in Miami the majority of the time, but wanted to keep her apartment in LA. Tate's dreams of returning to the United States materialized on February 28, 2025, when Tate and his brother chartered a private plane from Romania to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Upon their arrival, Tate took jabs at Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and has been in public battle with him ever since. Tate soon left Florida for Nevada, where he made a public appearance at a UFC fight and continued on to Los Angeles, where he had dinner with a few industry personalities, filmed a podcast episode with Kanye West, and spent 2 nights with the plaintiff, one at her apartment and finally at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Below shows the photos of Tate and plaintiff together in her apartment on the day before the incident. Tate and plaintiff stayed at the Beverly Hills Hotel the night of March 10, 2025. In the early hours of March 11, 2025, the two began to have intercourse consensually at the onset, but things quickly changed. As he usually did, Tate began verbally abusing and degrading the plaintiff, but this time things grew much worse, more intense. Plaintiff was terrified, thinking this was a situation where Tate was going to pay her back for things he perceived as going against his wishes. Tate began to choke plaintiff hard and violently. Plaintiff cried and begged Tate to stop. He did not. Plaintiff sobbed. Rather than stop, Tate instead choked plaintiff harder. Plaintiff feared at some point because she could not breathe that she was going to lose consciousness or worse. Tate used one hand to choke plaintiff while he used the other to repeatedly beat her on the side of her face and on the top of her head. As the choking continued and the blows to her head grew increasingly stronger, Tate told plaintiff that soon they would live together in Miami and said, "I'm going to make you do OnlyFans again, but this time you're going to show your punani on camera and give me all the money." Plaintiff protested and never stopped crying and begging Tate to stop. However, her cries and pleas only led Tate hitting her harder. Her cries appeared to be what he wanted, what he needed to climax, the sick fetish of a disturbed man. After Tate finished and rolled over to sleep peacefully, plaintiff retreated to the safety of the suite's bathroom and shut herself inside. Plaintiff was distraught. She immediately contacted her sister, knowing that she had to tell someone what had happened. She finally began to recognize the cycle of increasingly violent behavior and feared for her safety and for her life. She also sent messages to two trusted friends conveying her abject fear about her situation. She wanted to leave the hotel but was too scared and out of sorts to do so. Upon her sister's advice, she took photographs of her injuries. That morning, Tate lacks of remorse solidified when he told plaintiff, "Shut the uck up, bitch. You'll never back talk me. You're my property." Plaintiff slowly and calmly gathered herself and her belongings and quietly exited the hotel room without saying a word. She realized right then and there that this was not the life she wanted for herself. She finally began to recognize the gravity of the situation and feared that if she ever saw Andrew again, he would inflict even more physical violence, pain, and trauma upon her. She immediately blocked him on social media and blocked his multiple phone numbers, as well as WhatsApp, Telegram, Signal accounts that he used to communicate with her. In the previous days or the following days, plaintiff was scheduled to travel to New York for work, plans that had been previously shared with Tate. Plaintiff arrived in New York with visible bruising on her face, neck, and wrist. She did not feel like herself. She couldn't think clearly, slept alarmingly more than normal, and had seemingly never ending headache. She canceled her photo shoot and sought medical attention. She was seen at an urgent care and referred to the nearest hospital where she was diagnosed with and treated for concussive syndrome as a result of the trauma sustained on March 11, 2025, at the hands of Andrew Tate. On or about March 18, 2025, a friend of plaintiff spotted defendant Tate at the Cipriani in New York City shortly after plaintiff had posted an update on Instagram showing that she was in New York. On information and belief, Tate had no prior plans to be in New York at that time. Therefore, it is plaintiff's belief that Tate traveled to New York to track and further intimidate her. I would have just got rid of my phone and got me a new phone at that point. Once Tate left the country on the urging of her doctor, family, and friends, plaintiff went to Beverly Hills Police Department to report the incident. Andrew Tate led plaintiff to believe that he was in love with her and wanted to be with her forever. But over time, he used increasingly level of verbal and physical violence to track her every move, control and dominate her. When plaintiff realized that her life was in danger and fled, Tate chose to stalk her. But this ends now. Plaintiff refuses to be yet another victim or to give into the violence and threats. Andrew Tate's sick and twisted treatment of women needs to be exposed, and he needs to face the consequences of his behavior. So, as of right now, they are asking for a temporary restraining order for him to prohibit any type of direct or indirect contact between the two. That's telephone calls, visits, in person visits, text messages, emails, communications through social media platforms. Now, this is temporary during this litigation process. And I'm sure that afterwards, they are going to look for a more long term type of protective order. This is crazy. Look at this. And I forgot when did she file this? Oh my gosh, I can't remember. But this is what he's posting. He is literally saying he is going to look at this. This she is in fear. He she is in fear. So I'm not going to go over the claims relief because everybody already know, but we have sexual assault and battery, gender violence. He's doing this because she is a woman. That is a criminal offense. Gender violence is a criminal offense. Negligence. He was verbally abusive, physically abusive. Failed to take precautions prior to these encounters to prevent injury. He failed to stop his abusive and violent behavior towards her. He continued to engage in intercourse with the plaintiff despite his actions. Intentional infliction of emotional distress. They are asking for a jury trial. So if they don't mediate this prior to that, or if it doesn't go good in mediation, we best believe we might see this in trial. But first and foremost, we got to get him served. So she's asking for statutory damages, the cost of the suit, any interest allowed by law, punitive exemplary damages, attorney fees. She's asking for past, present, and future general damages, medical bills, therapist bills, whatever bills she needed, to that she had incurred to, keep herself safe, make sure, she's treating for her injuries. She's asking for past, present, and future special damages, loss of earnings, economic damages. Whew, y'all. So this is Andrew Tate. This is Andrew Tate. These are what these men who are wealthy do. But I want to know your thoughts about this. This is not a Diddy. This is not a black man. This is Andrew Tate. At the end of the day, you do wrong by women, by minors. I don't care who you are. I don't care what color you are. Okay? I'm going to hit you from both sides, criminal and civil. If the statute of limitations have passed for criminal charges, you best believe we're going to file a civil suit against you. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until then, you all be blessed and I'm out. Bye.